2025 is over, and with it, the 2025 movie season has come to an end. I would say 2025 overall was a decent year, while big studios continue to chuck billions and billions of dollars at movies to get inflated budgets that just really don't justify the money. We also saw some movies that maybe in other years would have bombed, but actually did pretty good this year. The horror genre was very successful this year, bolstering one of the most profitable years for the genre ever. And a handful of the most popular movies this year actually did feel like they deserved the attention that they got and the money that they brought in. In the past few years that I've done my top 15 list, it's usually filled with a lot of lesser known stuff or indies, with the exceptional blockbuster like an Oppenheimer or a Dune 2 or a Barbie. But this year, it truly did feel like a lot of the major blockbusters that we got this year, like Superman or Thunderbolts or Zootopia 2, Fantastic Four, Sinners, actually felt like legit movies and films that could end up on a legit top 15 list. And seeing that type of blockbuster come back after years and years and years of just having some nonsense in theaters that just didn't feel worth your time, it's actually kind of sign of relief. All that to say, narrowing this down to 15 and deciding what would just be number 15 on the list was extremely difficult actually. This is probably the hardest year that I've had determining my top 15. It's gone back and forth so many times, but I did it. And without further ado, let me share some of my honorable mentions. These are all phenomenal movies that deserve the love that they got, but they just missed my top 15. Chloe Zhao's Hamnet is a devastating period piece about grief and loss, with a powerful performance by Jessie Buckley. Eva Victor's Sorry Baby is a funny but also devastating watch about a woman's life being stuck in nothingness after an event that traumatizes her. Two 2000s inspired screwball comedies that I had a lot of fun with this year are Splitsville and The Roses. Both had me laughing so much while watching, and I really recommend you watch them if you haven't. Also on that train, The Naked Gun. I had so much fun with this year. It's probably one of the most fun experiences that I had all year, and it just shows that the 90s, 2000s parody comedy can still work in modern times if you have the right crew and the right material. Ballerina breathed new life into a franchise that honestly shows no signs of getting stale anytime soon. Filled with amazing stunts and a great lead performance by Ana de Armas, this was a great watch. Lost in Starlight is a supremely underrated Netflix Korean animated romance sci-fi film with gorgeous animation and a powerful script. Sentimental Values, prop number 16 on the list. I really wanted to put it in my top, but it just missed it. But this is without a doubt one of the year's saddest but emotionally resonant movies. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is probably my favorite adaptation of the story that I have ever seen. Incredible production, incredible makeup, and one of the best performances of the year by Jacob Elordi. Bone Lake is a underrated slow burn thriller following two couples who book the same house for their getaway vacations. Filled with great twists and some great performances, this is one that you should definitely check out. Another great thriller that you should definitely check out that was very overlooked this year was Lurker, based around music and pop with some great cinematography and lighting. Check this one out also if you haven't seen it. One that I literally watched yesterday while recording this, Lesbian Space Princess. Watch this thing if you haven't. It is so queer, but I had such a fun time watching it. It is such a blast. And finally, Looney Tunes The Day the Earth Blew Up, because sometimes you just need a little bit of zany fun in your life. And without further ado, here are my top 15 movies of 2025.
The man is killing us, man.
Over.
Bless the bomb over. Drop the bomb, man.
I'm not huge on war movies. I find most of them to be supremely overrated and just kind of feel samey most of the time. It's just not a genre that I really gravitate towards, and I don't get a lot of enjoyment watching war movies. There are really only two that I would say I love, and that's 1917 and Saving Private Ryan. And thankfully, I can now add a third to that list, because Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza's Warfare is exactly what I want from a war movie. Not so much the action or the mission being carried out, even though it is fantastic in this movie, but for me to care about the characters. For me to feel attached, and for me to feel through all that gunfire that a character that I truly do care about could blow up at any moment, is what I want from war movies. Warfare is the movie that gives that feeling the most since 1917. The whole movie is basically based on the memory of Ray Mendoza, who was a real fighter in this specific battle, giving the film a bit of a different vibe compared to other war movies. The soldiers feel much more human here. They're less prepared, they're kind of working on instinct. They only land one shot on the enemies in the entire movie, I'm pretty sure. And for the most part, they are only fighting civilians. They're not fighting legit soldiers. This movie also has, by far, the best sound design of the entire year. And I'm not joking when I say that. Watching this in a theater was legitimately ethereal. All in all, I really, really loved Warfare. And that is extremely rare for me to say. And that's why it's number 15. Sorry, sentimental value. Maybe you should have, I don't know, cast the dude from Riverdale.
Look at my tire. My tire is broken. Now I can't drive my car.
Hollow Road is directed by Babak Anvari, hopefully I said that right, and it follows a couple played by Matthew Rhys and Rosamund Pike as they rush out to get to their daughter who is in a car accident. The entire 80-minute film, for the most part, is basically you as a third passenger in this car, as the mom and the dad rush in their car to get to their daughter while she's on the phone crying, lying, and maybe dying. It's all just a phone call, with the only two on-screen characters being Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys. This movie is creepy. Rosamund Pike gives a fantastic performance here. The daughter also did very, very good. Matthew Rhys is great in this. I'm not going to tell you too much about the story because I'm assuming you haven't seen it, so I really want you to go check it out, but I highly recommend it. It's unpredictable, it's fantastically written, and it's very, very well paced. It's pretty short as well, so if you haven't, check it out. It is a very, very intense movie.
I arranged them into a piano.
In 2019, I discovered the Final Destination movies, and I instantly loved them, aside from 4. The idea of the franchise just worked perfectly for me. It has some of my favorite kills in any horror franchise, and overall, it's just one of the best first watch experiences that I've ever had in my life. Watching those back to back to back was legitimately so much fun. And finally, after 14 years since Final Destination 5, we finally have the next in the franchise with Bloodlines, and I loved it. Right now, it's actually tied with 5 as my favorite in the entire series, and that's because Bloodlines does something that no other Final Destination has really done as well as Bloodlines does, and that is make characters that are legitimately interesting and likable. Final Destination is kind of an anomaly when it comes to horror. Almost every iconic horror franchise, even if it has fantastic kills, has some sort of iconic character attached to it that makes it recognizable. For example, Halloween has Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, Friday the 13th has Jason, Scream has Ghostface and Sidney, Saw has Billy the Puppet and Jigsaw, Child's Play has Chucky, even some more recent ones like Terrifier has Art the Clown, or The Black Phone has The Grabber. Bloodsworth isn't a super iconic character to feel synonymous with the franchise, as he's really not in every movie, and also he's kinda just a cameo in each movie. So Final Destination is kind of one of the only horror franchises that is primarily known for its kills and its concept. And if you look at all the movies, a lot of them never really take the time to flesh out a character. The closest we get is with Claire Rivers, but she dies in 2. So you can't even really get attached to her, and she really didn't have a lot in Final Destination 1 even. The story doesn't constitute man versus man conflict. It's man versus world. That's what I really like about 5, is that's the movie that kind of really tries to flesh out its characters and make the relationships feel important so that we can have legit conflicts between the characters instead of just us waiting for the next kill, even though that's obviously what we're going for these movies for. But I'd rather take a movie that takes the effort to try and advance a character's relationship rather than just kill, 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 kill. It's why Halloween Kills sucks. And Bloodlines has the ace up its sleeve because it gives a relationship that instantly gives them a strong bond. They're family. And it just comes down to the actors to make the characters likable or hateable, but still charismatic, to the point where we want to see a piano fall on their head. And on that front, Bloodlines for me is one of the best in the franchise. The only slight issue that I have with the movie is that I don't think the kills overall are the strongest sets in the franchise. I think 2, 3, and 5 definitely beat it out, but there are some highlights, especially the MRI scene. All in all, Bloodlines is the best return to form that I could have asked for. It's fun, and it makes me hate pennies. Hopefully that doesn't blow up in the penny's face, because it would be so awkward if the penny just went and got abolished, because that would be insane.
You're pissing your pants! You're pissing your pants! You're pissing your pants!
Talk to Me is one of my favorite movies of 2022, and it was on my best movies of 2022 video, where I said this. I'm actually gonna be talking about Talk to Me in a future video. Yeah, that'll happen soon. Maybe, I don't know, shut up. Bring Her Back is a great sophomore follow-up though for the Filippo brothers. Personally, I prefer Talk to Me a bit more, but Bring Her Back is much more of the consumer's favorite. It's much more emotional, and it's more satisfying to watch than Talk to Me. The performances across the board are fantastic, and Sally Hawkins is perfect here. One of the most broken and villainous roles of the year by far. This is definitely a difficult movie to watch. Some of the subject matter and specific gross out moments are actually harder to watch than Talk to Me's, but it makes for a very engaging and intriguing watch. Also, I know I mentioned Sally Hawkins, but I also just have to mention Sora Wong. Amazing. Amazing. She's not getting enough love for this movie. She's so good here. Honestly, I might be a bit biased because I'm a huge Raka Raka fan, but I truly do believe that the brothers are 2 for 2 now. This is just an excellent horror movie that really does deserve much more love than it gets. It is absolutely diabolical to piss onto someone else's pants, by the way.
Of Rachel, Nevada at 6:30. Reporting live, Joe Martell's 13.
I am so happy that a movie like Weapons did so well in theaters. That is a true, honest-to-God horror movie in talks for awards love. So I will admit, Weapons did take a few watches to grow on me. When I watched it the first time, I put it in the 70% range. I liked it, but a little bit was missing for me. And I don't know, even after another watch, if it's gonna get better or worse, because Weapons overall is just kind of polarizing. It's one of the scariest movies of the year, but it's also one of the funniest movies of the year. And sometimes that tone really clashes, and then sometimes it really works. It's a movie about missing children and broken relationships, and a movie that feels branched in realism while also feeling surrealist at times. It's crazy. It's funny, it's exciting, there are legitimately creepy moments, the storytelling is enticing, and it keeps everything unpredictable. Again, I will get to her, but one person that I do not see getting enough love for this movie is Austin Abrams. He plays that stoner homeless character so well, and it's the character that you hate, but the performance is just so charismatic and real and fun that he makes me laugh with almost every scene that he has. He is not doing a lot, but he plays the character so realistically. It's just funny seeing him in this situation. But yeah, Julia Gardner is fantastic. Carrie Christopher as Alex is also great. Josh Brolin and Benedict Wong are both fantastic. And then there's good old Amy Madigan. I don't think I need to really tell you that Amy's perfect in this role, but yeah, Amy is perfect in this role. The look, the fact that she kind of looms over the entire movie, her first scene with Marcus in the school, the way that she talks, the way that she walks, her mannerisms, and that final scene. She's not in the movie that much, but Gladys's presence in rewatches is just felt so viscerally. That's not a word. That's straight up just not a word. I'm keeping that in. I don't care. She's just fantastic. She's personally my best supporting actress of the entire year. I hope that she wins. I could see somebody from Sentimental Value winning, which is also fine. Or I could see Teyana Taylor winning for a movie that we'll get to. But yeah, she's great. What do you want me to say? I'm sure that you've seen Weapons by now, but if you haven't, what are you doing? Again, it's not for everyone. There are some friends of mine that did not like Weapons, and that's okay. But for me personally, it really, really, really worked. It's funny, and it blends the tones very well, in my opinion. So I usually do this before number 1, but honestly, this year, let's just do it before the top 10. So here, in quick succession, are my 15 worst movies of the year. Number 15 is Electric State. It's not painfully unwatchable, but it's just extremely boring. And the fact that $320 million was just tossed at this thing is insane and just completely unjustifiable. And also, this movie keeps Screamboat off of the list, and I hate that so much. Number 14 is Flight Risk. Again, it's not the worst thing of the year, but it's just another very boring and tedious watch, and bald Mark Wahlberg has been in my nightmare since February. Number 13 is The Woman in the Yard. I will give points for the movie focusing on a black family. You don't see that a lot in horror these days. But aside from that, this is just another boring and unfun watch, and it has one of the worst endings of the year in my opinion. Number 12 is Karate Kid Legends. Cobra Kai really kind of ended perfectly, and somebody in a studio somewhere said that the next thing in the Karate Kid franchise should be a movie where it feels like it cares more about being a bad Rocky parody than focusing on your new Karate Kid, and I'm pretty sure that person has a rash on the brain. Number 11 is Honey Don't. I actually kind of like Drive-Away Dolls, but I don't know what was going on in this movie. It felt like everything happened and then nothing happened. There was no motive for anything happening. The story just kind of ended abruptly, and then the movie was just kind of like, okay, see you later. So all in all, it was just kind of John Cena's retirement run this year. Number 10 is Keeper. Not gonna lie, I spaced out halfway through this movie, and I have refused to go back. I was watching it, but like none of that final act stayed in my brain. It just felt so formulaic, and it felt so predictable. And even with the weird Osgood Perkins stuff thrown in, I was just not into it at all. Number 9 is FNAF 2. If you're a fan of the games and you really like this movie, that's awesome. Good for you. I watched this with some friends who are big FNAF fans that ended up really liking this movie, and that's great for them. But for me, who's only played a bit of FNAF 1 and doesn't know really any lore, this was miserable. And I'm even somebody that likes the first movie, but for me, this movie fails as a sequel, and it completely fails as a horror movie. Number 8 is Holland, a movie that thinks it's so much smarter and interesting and cooler than it actually is. I just hate the vibes coming from this movie, and it's just not my cup of tea at all. It's also excruciatingly boring. There's maybe like 90 good seconds in this movie, and that's when Rachel Sennett's on screen, and that's literally about it. I would never go back to this one. Number 7 is Him. I want to rewatch Him because I don't believe how bad this movie is. By far the most disappointing movie of the year. Jordan Peele, even as a producer, has kind of a flawless track record. Like, if you don't like Us, that's fine. They're all super successful and very profitable and respected movies. Him was a complete miss. It's so boring and perplexing and unsatisfying with an unoriginal twist. I just don't know what was going on here. Number 6 is The Strangers Chapter 2. The fact that 5 other movies are worse than this movie that was legitimately guaranteed to be awful is actually kind of sad. Do I need to explain to you why The Strangers Chapter 2 is bad? It's The Strangers Chapter 2. It's the sequel to The Strangers Chapter 1. Also, side note, I can't talk about it right now, but by far, this was the worst theater experience I had all year. If you know, you know. But again, that's a story for another time. Number 5 is Snow White, a movie that is so bad and performed horribly, it almost caused Disney, multi-billion-dollar corporate sellouts Disney to stop making the live-action remakes until Lilo and Stitch saved them with its financial profit. This was a legit train wreck to watch unfold. From Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's awkward chemistry in public to the CGI dwarves, Gal Gadot singing, just nothing here went right at all. Number 4 is Hurry Up Tomorrow. I am blessed to have watched this movie in an empty theater when it came out, and I am so happy because, honest to God, this might have been the most fun I had in a theater all year. I laughed from beginning to end. The second that The Weeknd's lips started raspberrying my eyes, all the way to Jenna Ortega burning herself alive, The Weeknd getting tortured by his own music, the Jenna Ortega dancing to Blinding Lights, Barry Keoghan hyping up The Weeknd as the greatest artist of all time, the shut up line. This movie was a blessing for me. But as a movie, it's horrible. Number 3 is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Snow White and Hurry Up Tomorrow, I was at least able to have fun with while watching. But this and the number 2 pick legitimately just made me so mad while watching. Look, I've never broken a bone, but hearing Chase Lee Wonders read this Gen Alpha written bullcrap where half of the lines have to sound like a 16-year-old TikToker pranking a Wendy's drive-thru made me want to break my spine in half. Number 2 is Fear Street Prom Queen. Complete bastardization of a perfectly good franchise with great LGBTQ characters and fantastic kills, all for it to be thrown away so we can have dance-offs and stilted acting and just do Carrie again, but so much worse. Again, there's probably worse movies in this one, but there isn't a movie that I dislike more than this one right here. Well, you already know what the worst movie of the year is. Of course it's War of the Worlds. And if by some miracle you have not heard or seen this movie yet and are confused as to why movies like Snow White and Hurry Up Tomorrow are better than this, just find a clip on YouTube or, by God, watch the movie and you will immediately understand why in like the first 2 minutes. I can't say I was bored while watching this, but I also cannot say that I was satisfied. All right, now let's get into the top 10.
What I don't understand, Chuck? I don't understand love. Who does?
Here's one that was super underrated this year. The Life of Chuck, directed by Mike Flanagan, who previously directed The Haunting of Hill House and Blind Manor, as well as Dr. Sleep. The movie is a dramedy told in 3 different aspects of life. One is his childhood, one is his middle years, and one is when he's about to die. It follows certain characters throughout the film as we learn about Chuck's impact, some bigger and some smaller, his favorite memories, and how he was as a child and how he became to be. I loved Life of Chuck. I'm so glad that I got to watch this. I think Tom Hiddleston gives one of his best performances ever. He is magnificent in this role. And really the entire cast comes into their own and just creates this type of vibe that's so drab and dark, but also hopeful and spiritual in a way. Karen Gillan, Nick Offerman as the narrator was great. Mark Hamill gives a great performance, and Benjamin Pajak, I believe his name is, as the younger version of Charles, is also fantastic. There's also a lot of cameos here that is pretty fun. David Dastmalchian, Matthew Lillard, Kate Siegel, Violet McGraw is in there. It's a really fun movie. It has an amazing dance scene in the middle of it, and it's just one that looks at life in a hopeful and kind way, rather than one that looks at life like it's going to dumb us down. I really, really loved this movie.
The answer to a never-ending.
It Ends is the directorial debut of Alex Ulam. Hopefully I said that right. It follows a group of friends as they go out for a late night drive, but they learn that this drive is basically never ending. I don't want to spoil too much because this is a very recent movie. It hasn't had a lot of eyes on it. It was recently on Letterboxd Video Store that a good amount of people saw it, but it doesn't have a digital release. It doesn't have anything like that. If you want a current day thriller that doesn't over-explain what's going on in its story. You just have to go along with the ride for it. This is one of those. The cast here is small but fantastic. The 4 main leads are great. They have great chemistry and they feel like real people stuck in this hellscape, and they do such an amazing job. It's also really well shot, which for an indie is not something that you hear a lot, but here it really works. I loved this movie. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, wait till it comes out on Doodle and watch it. It is great.
This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Alright, this one does need a little bit of context, but the context is going to be kind of minimal because this is another one that I don't really want to spoil that much. In 2023, Curtis David Harder gave us Influencer. If you've never heard about it, it's a movie starring Cassandra Node and Emily Tennant on Shudder. It's a social media movie that follows Maddie, a recently broken up with social media influencer on vacation, and she meets CW, a person with a distinguishable birthmark on their face, and she just tries to show her around and shows her the locations and shows her how to live without a man. It's a really great movie with some fantastic twists and an amazing performance by Cassandra Node. Influencers is the sequel to that movie. It follows CW as she just trying to live on her own now, and then Maddie also trying to look for CW. I love Influencer. It is super underrated, so well shot, so well lit, but one that works because of the performances, the direction, and the writing. This one, I was a little scared because I was like, how do I know if you're going to follow up that movie? But Influencers does such a great job at taking what we already had and expanding on it perfectly to where it feels like this is a necessary follow-up to a story that already had a great ending. Cassandra Node and Emily Tennant once again are amazing in this movie, and it levels up here with the casting with Georgina Campbell and Jonathan Whitesell, who do fantastic jobs. The first maybe 20 minutes of this movie is so suspenseful with a great twist once again. It gets a little bit more zany with it and has a lot more fun with this concept, but it still keeps the intensity and the thrills up to 11. If you have not seen these movies, check them out. They are a fantastic duology, and if we get a third one, I can't wait.
I thought we were his family too.
Rental Family is directed by Hikari, who was one of the producers on Beef. It follows Brendan Fraser as an actor in Tokyo who's just trying to find his purpose. He's not doing bad in life, but he just doesn't really have a direction until he gets a gig to work in Rental Family, a Japanese agency who plays stand-in roles for strangers who need. As he goes more and more into this agency, his bonds start to blur the lines between just business and personal, especially when he has to play the father of a little girl. I really loved Rental Family. It is one of the best dramas and comedies, honestly, of the entire year. I'm not huge on Brendan Fraser. I didn't really grow up with Brendan Fraser really at all. I kind of rediscovered him, or honestly discovered him, through The Whale, and then I've kind of gone back and watched his older stuff, so I kind of know a little bit more about his story, but just seeing him back in Hollywood getting roles like this is just so great to see, and he is great here. But honestly, the best part about this movie is the rest of the cast, and that's not a knock on Fraser. He's really good here, but he kind of has to play the straight man to where everyone else in the movie has to play more heightened characters, and everyone has so much fun with their roles and brings a lot more life and poise to the movie that it just levels up. Takahiro Hira is fantastic in this movie. Mari Yamamoto is also great here, playing a very subtle character, one that we just don't really fully understand until we get to the later half of the movie where we fully understand why she does this. However, the best performance in this movie, and one that is not getting nearly enough love. Akira Emoto as this older gentleman, this older author who is losing his life soon, and he just wants to find joy in someone, and he finds it with Brendan Fraser's character. He made me cry, he made me laugh, he gives this movie the much needed energy that it needs, and the much needed emotion that it needs for it to really, really work. And he does a fantastic job. I really wish that more people would be looking at his performance and realizing that it is legitimately award worthy. But this movie itself isn't really getting a lot of love, and I think that is awful because he's fantastic in here. This movie is just great. It's well written, it's well directed, it's well acted, and it just has this sense of love and care put into it that was kind of missing this year. I loved this one.
Up next, Chicken Little.
Hell yeah, it's on my list. I'm going to talk more about why it's on my list in the next entry, because honestly, I don't really think I need to talk more about K-pop Demon Hunters. This movie was everywhere. And I mean legitimately everywhere. It broke Netflix records, it broke K-pop records, it broke music records, it broke animation records, it broke the world. Like, this thing is the new Frozen. How Frozen was when I was growing up and seeing it everywhere, that's K-pop Demon Hunters now. This movie is just all over the place, and it rightfully deserves it because, yeah, this movie is fantastic. I've honestly gone back and forth a lot on whether or not I love this movie, but the reason why I think I lean a lot more towards it is because it's simple. It doesn't try to do too much with its plot, and it just stays to be a nice, comforting 90-minute watch with great music, great characters, a great story, and one that you can get attached to because, once again, it's simple. It's not a baby movie. It's not for kids. Anyone can watch this and feel the emotion of these characters. That's why if you go and watch most reactions to this movie, you will see people crying. And yeah, I have to mention it. The music is fantastic. I love it. Every song here is a gosh darn banger. It is awesome. If I had to pick my favorite one, it would be How It's Done. I think that song is legitimately one of the best opening songs I've heard for a movie ever. Literally every single song is awesome. I don't think I need to say more about K-pop Demon Hunters. It's everywhere. Everyone knows it's good. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, it's literally everywhere. But somebody may be like, okay, but like, I don't understand why it's over movies like Final Destination Bloodlines or Sentimental Value or Hamnet. Well,
Dad?
my number 5 is Bob Trevino Likes It. It's directed by Tracy Lemon. Hopefully I said that name right. And it's her directorial debut. It follows Lily Trevino, played by Barbie Ferreira of Euphoria fame, as a girl who has recently cut ties with her father. While looking for him online, he finds another man named Bob Trevino, not her father, but just a stranger, played by John Leguizamo. It's a beautiful movie, one that really was overlooked this year. I think Barbie Ferreira and John Leguizamo give some of their best performances in their careers, especially Barbie Ferreira. French Stewart is also in this movie, who I think does a fantastic job. It's just a really emotional comedy as well as a great drama that blends emotional with legitimately hilarious moments. But there's another reason why this movie hits a lot deeper. In June, I lost my dad. He had been battling a bunch of different illnesses and sickness throughout the past few years, and it finally caught up to him this year, and he passed in June. It's been really hard on both me and my family to deal with this loss, and a lot of movies this year that focused on family and a lot of movies that focused on stuff like this hit a lot harder for me this year. When my dad went into the hospital for the first time, this was the first movie that I had watched. And it really, really hit. I haven't gone back and rewatched the movie to see if it still holds up. This is just from first watch. But even still, it hit a lot more because of the context that I watched it in. Also, if you're curious, that's also the reason why K-pop Demon Hunters is very high. That is the first movie that I watched after my dad passed. I didn't watch anything for like 4 days, and I had heard about K-pop Demon Hunters when it was kind of getting worked on. And so when it released, that was the first movie that I watched, and it kind of brought me out of some darker thoughts I was thinking of about the time. It worked a lot better for me because I had that context, and the same thing with Bob Trevino likes it. For a lot of people, it probably won't be in their best of the year, but for me, it's near the top. It's one of my favorite movies that I watched, and it's one that might become a comfort watch in a few years' time. I miss you, Dad. This is another one that I don't think I really need to talk about, because what more is there to say? It's probably going to win Best Picture. One battle after another is just that damn good. Paul Thomas Anderson goes balls to the wall in this insane dramedy that never loses its energetic pace while staying about 3 hours, which is crazy. This movie just feels like a constant rush after that first act. Every single scene is just these people on the run, getting chased down, getting shot at, going on, just running, moving, and it is fantastic. Blend that with some of the best performances of the year from DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Chase Infinity in her film debut, who is fantastic here, Teyana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, and my queen Alana Hamm. It just goes on and on and on, and it just takes over you. It takes over you. You are transported watching this movie. And there are very few movies that felt like that this year. Watching this in a theater was so rewarding. There's just really not a lot to say that hasn't been said already. It's one of the best movies to come out this decade. Whether you're struck by fear because of the depictions of the violence, or you're laughing at how dumb Leonardo DiCaprio can be in this movie, it's just a movie that is unforgettable. I still think about this movie to this day. To this day. Sean Penn's walk, the car chase scene, the fact that Mo Bamba played in this movie, it's fantastic. If you somehow have not seen this movie, watch it yesterday.
When to get more giant paper.
Park Chan-wook is a director that does not get the love that he deserves. There is not one single miss in Park Chan-wook's filmography. He does not miss. He is one of the most consistent directors out there, and he has not gotten enough love from really any award show. And No Other Choice is just another example of that, because this is a top 3 movie of the year by far. It is so good. No Other Choice, directed by Park Chan-wook, follows Lee Byung-hun, who most of us now know from Squid Game, but he has been in the industry for a while. He plays a father of his family who recently got laid off from his job that made them a lot of money. As he starts to lose money and as he starts to lose his mojo, he comes across a job that could bring his dignity back up, but he needs this job no matter what, with no other choice but to go hard. Guys, this is one of the best movies of the year that no one's talking about, and I'm so sad. This movie is legitimately so good. It's one of the funniest movies of the year. In fact, it might be the funniest movie of the year, in my opinion. There's just so many absurd scenes, but it all just blends into something that is such an easy watch. And I feel the reason it's not getting talked about enough is because it's South Korean and it's in a foreign language. And look, if you can watch a movie on Netflix in English with captions on, it's the same thing. it's just gonna be in another language. So just watch it. I loved this movie. It is legitimately, this is one of the most well shot movies of the entire year. The cinematography on display here was otherworldly. There are so many fantastic zoom ins and zoom outs of just random objects that looks phenomenal and makes story sense. The entire cast here is fantastic, but Lee Byung-hun gives maybe the best performance that I've seen from him ever. He is so funny here, but also so relatable in a way that you just feel his pain and feel his drive to give his family what he feels like he needs to provide for them, but not knowing how to, but doing everything he can to do it. The lengths that he goes to, you're kind of sad that he's doing it because you're so attached to his character, but it's what makes the movie so much fun to watch. Everyone here is perfect, and I mean that. Perfect. It is one of the best movies of the year that is not getting nearly enough love. It did not get a single Oscar nomination, and that is so sad. Please watch it. Please watch it.
I want you to look over at somebody and say to me like, Sammy.
I don't think I really need to talk about Sinners as much as everyone has talked about it. I feel like everyone that watched a movie this year heard about Sinners. Sinners was an event, and it's still an event. It's the most talked about movie of the entire year because it's that damn good. Is it super similar to From Dusk Till Dawn? Yes. The similarities, you can see it clear as day. It focuses rather on the Mexican side of its story. It focuses on the black side. It focuses on what it feels like to be living in this time period with the blues and sharecroppers and all this other stuff that is brought in. One of my favorite scenes of the movie is Delroy Lindo giving this story where there's literally no footage on screen. It's just them talking, but you hear the audio. That's what a lot of people in these times were experiencing because it was just happening just like that. But yeah, I don't think I need to spend any more time on Sinners. It is the most talked about movie of the year. It is fantastic. The one shot will go down in cinematic history. All of the performances here, from Michael B. Jordan's dual performance to Miles Canton in his film debut, to Wunmi Musaki, Jamie Lawson, the phenomenal Delroy Lindo, Omar Benson Miller, Jack O'Connell, Haley Steinfeld, Lee Jun Lee, everyone does fantastic. I have seen it 4 times. I will probably watch it a lot more times. It's one of the best movies of the year. Period. Blank. Done. But what could be better than all of these other movies? Well, a genre of film that is very hit or miss for me are movies that are made to feel uncomfortable to watch, or movies that feel bewildering to watch. There are some that really work. I think Climax is a great example, and one that I watched this year for the first time, Perfect Blue, also worked. But there are just some other ones that don't really work as well. However, when one works for me, it works exponentially. And my number one did exactly that. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is directed by Mary Bronstein, who previously directed Yeast all the way back in 2008. And I don't think she's done anything since then, really. It stars Rose Byrne as a mother who has to navigate so much in her life: her absent husband, her child who has an unknown illness, a missing person, and a hostile relationship with her therapist, as well as the motel that she lives in, and a friendship/bond that she develops with one person that she buys cigarettes and drugs from. There's a lot going on in this woman's life, and she just has to balance all of this while trying to stay positive to her child, while trying to be respectful to her clients, as she also is a therapist, while also just trying to balance all of this other stuff. Her house crashes, Her child is very whiny and needy. Her therapist, played by Conan O'Brien, is basically just brushing her off about everything. And it's just all these things crashing down on this woman as she just tries to keep pushing forward. It is one of the most uncomfortable movies of the entire year to watch. There is so much screaming, so much thrown at you, but it is anchored by what I consider to be this movie's strongest quality and the reason why it's number one. It gives, and I'm not kidding here, the best performance that I've seen from a lead actress this decade. And I'm being truthfully honest here. Better than Demi Moore, better than Lily Gladstone, better than Mikey Madison, better than Michelle Yeoh, better than Stephanie Hsu, better than Emma Stone in Poor Things. Rose Byrne gives my favorite performance of the decade. Rose Byrne plays this character so realistically. However, her whole character is not just all of this stuff crashing down on her. She doesn't talk about it a lot, but you see it. You see her child screaming. You see Conan's reaction when she starts venting about everything going on in her life. You see the house that is crashing down and the floor is breaking. You see all of this stuff, and Rose Byrne rises to the occasion perfectly. It is the best performance that I've seen this year. It is the best performance that I've seen from an actress this decade. I'm being truthfully honest here. I adored this performance. It is one of my favorite performances of all time. She is magnetic, along with incredible, and I mean incredible sound design, some truly stressful moments, as well as some comedic moments, and one of the best endings of the entire year. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, personally, is my number one. There are other movies this year that tried to go down the mother getting overly stressed out type of vibe. One this year that immediately comes to mind is Die My Love, but this movie just knocked it out of the park. It's funny, it's stressful, and it has one of the best performances that I've seen, honestly, in my life. I loved this movie, and it is my favorite movie to come out in 2025.